the pressure that is placed on young people applying for university is absolutely insane. And to be honest, I don't think it's very fair. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Antoinette. Thank you so much for joining me. Today we're going to be talking about my journey with my UCAS application, as that's been heavily requested, as well as talking about dealing with rejection and mental health leading up to those periods of getting your applications back. So let's dive just straight into my application, my kind of background and everything that happened with me. So I was applying for politics and international relations at 4 unis and then HSPS at Cambridge. So as I say, HSPS at Cambridge and then politics and international relations at Bath, Birmingham, LSE and UCL. UCL was the main university that I wanted to get into. The others it was on varying degrees. My stats with this, I was predicted 3 A stars. I took A-level English literature, drama and politics, and my GCSEs were 3 9s, 2 8s, 2 6s and a 5 in maths. Because if you didn't know, I am terrible at maths. So as I said, I was applying to Cambridge, so that meant I was an early applicant. I applied in October, very early October, for my universities. I heard back almost a week later from Birmingham, and they offered me AAB for politics and international relations with a year abroad, which I had applied to. That was such a relief, getting that first kind of reply back. And having that be an acceptance, because it gave me hope. I really didn't know what kind of crowd I was going to be going up against. And I think this is a concern every year, is that whilst you may be good for your school or good for your year group, it doesn't necessarily mean you're good in comparison to the rest of the country. And I was very worried that yes, although I was a high performer academically, there are thousands of other high performers across the country that could be better than me, their personal statement could have been better than me. So I was very concerned. So getting that first response back and having it be an acceptance was such a relief. Now, the grade they offered me also was very good, AAB, because I had never gotten a B in my life. And I knew that worst case scenario would be that I get a B. So I thought I was wonderful that I had this backup option, that I knew that if something went wrong in my exams, at least I knew that I had a uni, and also a good uni. Birmingham is a good uni. So that's my first piece of advice for you if you're still applying for uni. It would be, make sure you're applying to at least one uni that you know is your safety net. You know you can absolutely get into that uni, no problems. If your priority is getting into uni, getting into a university, apply to one that you know without a doubt that you'll get into. Because that for me was a relief. I was like, okay, I know that if I don't get into anywhere else, at least I have this response. And I know that even if I flop my exams, I'm still going to be going to that uni. So that was such a big relief. My second response was from LSE, and it was a rejection. Now, I was upset, not because I wanted to go to LSE, because I had picked that uni as like my 5th option because I wasn't sure of where else to apply to. But it was just the fact that I had been rejected from somewhere. You know how it is if you're, an academic person. We don't like not doing well. We don't like not being perfect all the time, which is something that obviously you need to work on. But yeah, I was really not happy about that rejection. Now, I was rejected on the basis of my GCSE maths grade, which at the time seemed laughable, because I was like, well, I've got a 3 A star application, I've got 9s in my GCSEs, I'm doing really well. Maths is not a course I'm even applying for, it's not relevant to my degree, this is kind of dumb. But actually, in hindsight, I realised that it wasn't dumb at all. I was applying to a BSc at LSE, and the BSc politics course actually does have maths on it, as I have come to learn with my journey at UCL. Also, if I had been more diligent and checked the website, which I did not because, as I say, I chose it randomly, I would have seen that the course requirements for that was a 6 in maths, and I got a 5 in maths. So I wasted an entire space on my UCAS application because I hadn't been bothered to check the course requirements. So there's my second piece of advice. Bear in mind the course you're applying to. Is it a BSc? Is it a BA? And further, what are the GCSE requirements and do you fulfill them? If you do not, don't even bother wasting your time applying because they won't let you in. They take one look at that grade that you got when you were 15 and go, not for us. So that was a mistake on my part. But I was very, very demoralized at that point because I became very concerned that the grade that I thought didn't matter so much, all of a sudden does matter. And I was very worried that perhaps UCL, which is the uni I wanted to go to, because it was also a BSc, would reject me. And that was a huge concern. Suddenly, my confidence had been massively knocked. I had gone on from being like on cloud nine, kind of like, oh, look at me, I got into uni, to, oh my God, this is real. People are rejecting me. Maybe I'm going to get rejected again. There are lessons to be learned from this, though, in terms of rejection. Just because you fall down at the first hurdle doesn't mean you're going to keep doing it, right? Especially when you get your applications back. What you're going to do in your mind is you're going to sit there and think, oh my God, okay, this person's going to say this person's going to say this, I'm not going to get into here. You cannot predict the future. You are not sitting within the office where they're looking at the applications. You're not on the admissions team of the university. You have no idea what's going through their heads. You have no idea the decision they're going to make on your outcome. So there's no point even trying to predict it. Just because one uni says no does not mean all the others are going to. And if you think like that, you're really going to mess with your head and you're going to put yourself in a permanent state of anxiety, which I pretty much fell into because I was like, I'm not going to get in anywhere. And that was horrifying, but further, it wasn't true. So I spent all that time worrying about, I'm not going to get in, for a week later for me to hear back from Bath, who wanted me and gave me a 3A offer. So don't waste your time, if you do get rejected from a uni, worrying whether that's going to happen with all the others. You don't know, you never know, there's no way of knowing until you get that UCAS track email, so don't panic as much as you can. I know it's easier said than done, but try and every time you have a thought in your mind that's like, I'm not going to get in, divert that thought. You have to rationalize it. You have to say, I have no idea about that. I'm not in the admissions office. I can't predict the future. I have no idea what the outcome's going to be. So I'm not going to waste my time even worrying about it. I'm going to focus on what's happening here and now and revising for my A-levels. Bath and Cambridge both got back to me very, very quickly indeed. So Bath gave me an offer straight off the bat, 3 A's or A-star AB. And then the college I was applying to, which was Pembroke College, told me to send in 2 example essays. So that college for HSPS doesn't have exams. So the essays were in the place of the exams, so I sent them in. And then they sent me a date for an interview. No, that's... I always say that's my biggest achievement. I got an interview for Cambridge. I was very full of myself at that point. I was I completely forgot the LSE rejection. I was who's LSE? Who is LSE? Who are they? I've got an interview for Cambridge. The interview went okay. I just think my mindset was this. I loved the vibe and the aesthetic of Cambridge. I loved the idea of being a Cambridge student. But I don't know necessarily if I think like a Cambridge student. When I was prepping myself from that interview, I was watching all their advice videos and the way they're telling you to think and the things they were telling you to behave like and I was like, that's just not me. I'm just not like that. That's not how my brain works, and I'm happy my brain doesn't work that way. That's not how I think about things. It's not how I solve problems, anything like that. And I was like, I don't know necessarily if everyone here thinks in this way or works things out in this way or this is how they work academically. I did think to myself, I don't know if I would necessarily fit in at this university because I'm just not like that as a person. But the interview went okay. They were very nice. I was worried about A-level drama because it's obviously not seen as a very serious A-level, and it also doesn't apply to my course. And I was worried that perhaps because I'd taken A-level drama, some universities might be biased against it. But funnily enough, the interviewers actually asked me a lot about my A-level drama and my drama experience in the interview, which I was honestly shocked about. I wasn't expecting it, but they really did ask me about it. So if you're taking a A-level that you think that societally maybe isn't taken as seriously, do not worry. I had that experience. They seemed very interested in it. So it was a long wait until the 13th of January when I received my offer for UCL. I cried. I cried because that was a uni I wanted to get into. I was like, if I don't get into UCL, it's over for me. It's finished. That's the end. I'm leaving the planet. It's like, this is where I'm meant to be. So when I received the offer, I was just so happy. But then the pressure was on to actually get in. So my UCL offer was 3 A's, and then a week later I heard back from Cambridge. I didn't get in, but I didn't care because I was like, I got UCL. I got UCL. I'm happy. This is what I wanted. And so I firmed UCL, and Birmingham was my insurance. So that was a brief rundown of my experience with UCAS. But what I feel like is not talked about enough is the mental health side of applying to university. I don't think I have ever been so stressed in my life as I was in year 13. And I have had some pretty horrific experiences in my life. I have diagnosed PTSD. That doesn't come close to the emotions I felt in year 13. The sheer fear, like the animalistic fear I felt when I received an email from UCAS track. I imagine that's what it's like to be a gazelle in the wilderness and you see a lion coming at you. That is the same feeling. Oh my God, the panic. I don't think I was like close to having a heart attack. It was that stressful. Obviously, I'm a bit dramatic. I'm a Leo. But I'm sure that many people will be able to relate to that just level of sheer stress all the time about these applications. Will you get in? Will you not get in? What happens if you're rejected? What happens if you don't get in anywhere? What are you going to do? All these questions in your mind constantly for like 4 months on end until you hear back. Some unis don't even tell you if you got in until like May. So it's an incredibly stressful period of time. So here's my advice for dealing with that. As I said before, please, please, please do not try and predict. Do not try and be a fortune teller. Try and see what the outcome of your application. You have no idea. You have no idea. So there's no point even wasting your brain capacity or time trying to figure out what's going to happen. What you need to do is focus on the present moment. Mental health, you know, like therapists, psychotherapists, they always talk about this, but it's true. There is nothing more powerful than mindfulness if you're in a position where you're panicking or you're freaking out. Because when we panic, when we feel anxiety, often our anxiety is not over something that is actually happening in the present moment. It's something that happened in our past or something we're trying to predict in our future or an outcome that is not in our present reality. So what you need to try and do is ground yourself as much as you can to what is happening in the here and now. Try and notice when you feel that panic. So if you find yourself suddenly your breathing is going shallow, you're feeling a bit lightheaded, you're feeling dizzy, that's when you know you're kind of panicking, and then try and pinpoint the thought that you're getting in your head. So it might be, I'm not going to get into any of my universities. Sit with that thought, acknowledge it, be like, okay, there is this thought, but where is the evidence to this? Well, there's no evidence because you haven't heard back, or there's no evidence because you haven't heard back from all of them, and that's not your present reality. And tell your brain that. Say, thank you so much for bringing that to my attention, but that is not the reality that we're in right now. So instead, we're going to focus on what's happening here and now. Look around your room, look around what's around you, look at your hands, focus on the feelings around you. What can you smell? What can you see? What you can hear? And breathe. And just bring yourself back to the present moment. The more you get worked up in your head about things that haven't even happened yet, the more, panicked and upset and anxious all the time you're going to be. And seeing as you're trying to be doing revision at the same time, you're trying to be passing your mocks and doing well, that kind of panic is not going to be helping you. It's not going to help you focus. It's not going to help you concentrate. And you really don't want to burn out before the exam. So try and stay mindful as much as possible. And number 2, don't place so much weight on these university decisions. When you're 17, when you're 18, going to university seems like the end of the world. It's the be-all and end-all. If you don't get in, you're not getting a job, you're going to be homeless for the rest of your life, you're not going to make any money, you're going to be living with your parents, No. No. Okay? Seriously, that is not the reality of the situation whatsoever. University can help you in your life in certain careers, in certain fields. If you don't go to university, are you going to fail the rest of your life? Absolutely not. There are plenty of people in the world that have not gone to university and have made absolute, giant empires and been very, very, very successful. Look at the Jeremy Clarkson tweet every year, That man goes on, he's like, I got 3 A's and now I'm on a super yacht. And it's true, okay? Your life is not determined about whether you got in or not to an institution when you were 17 years old. And if you don't get into one, your life is not going to be ruined. The course of your life might have been changed. The things that you're going to experience in your life might be a bit different to what you had planned. The plans have changed, but that doesn't mean the plan is over. That does not mean, the rest of your life is going to be bad from now on. That just means you're just going to have to go down a different path that you perhaps weren't expecting. But I do believe that everything happens for a reason. I do believe that maybe although that path might not be what you had originally expected, might be the best one for you. And always remember that if you don't get in one year, there is no limit on the amount of times you can apply to university. You can apply every year for the rest of your life if you want to. Just because you don't get in one year doesn't mean you can't, take a year off and apply again. I know plenty of people that didn't get into their dream uni the first time round, took a gap year, applied again, and then got in. You can do that if you're absolutely desperate, but know that it's not the end of your life if you don't get in. And finally, please see rejection as redirection. I was rejected from LSE. I wasn't going to go to LSE anyway, but I was rejected from Cambridge. And if I had gotten into Cambridge, I would have gone there, right? You don't reject Cambridge. I would have gone to Cambridge. I love UCL. I really want to go to UCL. But at the end of the day, it's Cambridge, right? I would have gone there. If I had gone to Cambridge, I would have not met my best friends in the entire world, like ever. I would have not met my boyfriend. I would have not had this amazing experience of living in London. I would have not fallen in love with this incredible city. I would have not gone on holiday with my best friends and explored their cities, learned new cultures, learned new things. Maybe I would have done other things, but all of the blessings that are currently in my life right now, that I thank my lucky stars for every day, would have never happened if I had gotten into Cambridge. Yeah, it might have looked good on my graduate degree, but I wouldn't have any of these amazing things I have in my life now. So you never know. You might get rejected from this dream place and then end up going to this other place and then finding all of these amazing things in your life. You never know. Rejection is redirection. I do believe in it. And you will find yourself in the place that you're meant to be. You will. I promise you. It might not seem like it at the time, but you will. So have faith. Have faith in yourself. Have faith in God if you believe in God, or the universe if you believe in the universe, that whatever happens is happening for a reason and it's going to work out. Because ultimately, that's all it is at the end of the day. You're 17 years old, you're 18 years old, you have a whole life ahead of you. Please do not waste it worrying about some silly little decisions. Because when you're 20 years old, when you're 19 years old, like me, I look back and I think, what was all the stress about? And you will too, I promise. So I hope this story, helped. I hope I provided some valuable advice, and my best of luck to all of you if you're applying to university. You're going to do so well. I'm so proud of every single person that has sent me their personal statement, that sent me their applications. I'm sure you're all going to do very well, and I hope you get everything you want. Have a great day, guys. Bye.